Hello, my friends, and welcome back. About maybe a week ago, I started to observe dissent in the coalition supporting Ukraine. And I observed that by seeing some statements, hearing some statements made by various leaders, presidents, prime ministers, foreign ministers. I'm talking about important heads of state. I'm talking important because they can do something. Not I'm not talking about a bottom feeder per se. And then also I listened to some assessments coming from some military experts or personnel like Austin and McMillan or whatever his name is, and some Germans and some British experts and military defense ministers and so on. And all these things, all these statements, all these assessments led me to conclude by the way they were, how should it be, interpreted uh, before versus now. Before, which was before 2 weeks ago, I would say, there was no doubt that Russia will lose the war, but I know what would be the outcome. You lose, what do you mean lose? Lose means Russia will go back to its original borders and will pay reparations for Ukraine, apologized. Ukraine will become a NATO member, will become a European member state, will have atomic bombs maybe. It will still have nationalistic slash whatever elements in its government, in its military. What else? Putin will be trialed at Hague for war crimes and hanged like Lavrov and Peskov and Shoigu and Goering and Goering, sorry, he was not hanged, he just ditched them, if you know what I mean. But nevertheless, this is what would mean Russia would lose the war, including allowing the big boss to come and rape Russia of its resources at will, like between 1991 and 1999. That occurred between those were the happy that's how Russia is supposed to be, a corrupt, depraved, ready to be raped like a whore by the Western countries, especially one, and their resources be controlled by Western companies, and this is great Russia. So this is the changes I started to see about 2 weeks ago when I started to observe three blocks, if you want, three blocks of descent or directions. And I'm going to read this article, which tries to make an assessment, obviously, with Western slant. Western, I'm talking about not Western people. I'm talking about Western mass media, which is corporate mass media. You know what I mean by that. So let's go and see. This article comes from my friends Reuters from today, June 13th, 2022, by John Irish, Andreas Rinke, and Humeira Pamuk. And this is the title. What's next? Question mark. Ukraine's allies divided over Russia endgame. All right, so it says here that it is better to engage with Russian President Vladimir Putin over his invasion of Ukraine or to isolate him. Now you know that isolation did not work, so let's put it to rest. Then will be remains only one option, right? To discuss with him, right? To engage with him, because as of now, Russia is not isolated. 20 countries, not even 20, 7 countries that isolate Russia, which not even isolated. And the rest of the world is doing business as usual with Russia, even though Western pressure is everywhere. You know, if let's say I see a crime and I don't react, or I see something and something happens, an action, I don't react because I'm not certain how to react. And I need someone to come and tell me, hey, Emil, you have to condemn that. And I say, yes, I condemn it. What does that mean? That means I really don't want to condemn it. I didn't want to condone it. I wasn't sure what to do. But the guy came and told me what to do. Hey, Emil, you got to condemn them. And if I do that, that's different reason why I might do that. But in this, my personal feeling was I don't know what to do. I'm not sure. Unless someone and say, hey, Emil, you got to, oh, okay, whatever. So this happened with a lot of countries on this planet regarding the Ukraine, Russia scuffle. So he says, should Kiev make concessions to end the war, or would that embolden the Kremlin? Now, would not embolden the Kremlin because the Kremlin does not want Poland, Romania, and any other nations that do not like them. Why would you want to get them in your country? So they can create problems? Makes no sense. So emboldened to do what exactly? Take Moldova, some corrupt vineyards with some fat politicians that are all corrupt, or what? Romania, please, I don't want to say take it because you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a nail in your shoe if you take Romania. Anyway, are ramped up sanctions on Russia's worth the collateral damage? No, I can tell you right now, no. And I knew that from the very beginning, from the start. Sanctions hurt you guys, these guys, more than Russia as of now. So then we go and see who's who and what's what. As Western governments grapple with the spiraling inflation and energy costs, countries including Italy and Hungary have called for a quick ceasefire. They could pave the way for scaled-back sanctions and end the blockade of Ukrainian ports that has worsened a food security crisis for the world's poorest. So far we got Hungary and Italy who said we want to stop everything right now and reverse everything somehow. I don't know how. And he said Ukraine and Poland and the Baltic states. These are the little dogs who always bark because they have their back covered. Alone, they will be quiet as a dead man in the water. That's how they would be. They would not do anything else, but because they know they have always had. Look at the Poles. The Poles had in the Second World War, they had the Brits and the French, so they were tough with Germans. The Germans slapped them in what, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then the Russians slapped them. The Soviets slapped them from the other side, and then what? I mean, don't start me with Poland again. All right, so let's go. Baltics the same. 5 million people in 3 states, a city, big mouth. They warned that Russia is not to be trusted and say a ceasefire would enable it to consolidate territorial wins, regroup and launch more attacks down the line. To get what? To get you? To get the Baltic states or Poland? God forbid. I mean, I don't want to go like you can push them somewhere else and you get the land, I understand. But get the Poles in your country? Oh no. Or get the Baltic states? No. That's only 5 million, but the other ones are 38 or 39 million. The Poles. You don't want them. So what they're going to do? Send them to Germany? Like the Germans love the Poles and vice versa. All right. So this is a second group, the noisy ones, the ones that they want to see the Russians dead, all of them. The Baltic states and Poland. The first one was Hungary and Italy. Now we get the next one. The next one starts with the United States. The U.S. Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, has said he wants Russia weakened. And President Joe Biden called for Putin to be prosecuted for war crimes. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Kiev must not be strong-armed into accepting a bad peace deal and that Ukraine must win. So this is the third group. So we have Lloyd Austin, which says we cannot win, but we can get it weakened. Now Joe Biden, he lives in his own world. Oh yeah, he should be tried. Yeah, okay. So we don't take him into consideration, and then we take Boris Johnson, who said that Kiev must not be strong-armed into accepting a bad peace deal. A bad peace. What would be a good one? I don't know. As I said, the first option, and Ukraine must win again. Vote for the change. Okay, what's change? In changing what? Do the right thing. What's the right thing? Because your right thing might be not my right thing. The same year. Must win. Win what? What do you mean win? Can you give us some details? What? How do you? Hey, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, can you, elaborate a little bit on what win means for Ukraine? And you will not hear him saying that because he knows he's not an idiot. I mean, he must be crooked, but not an idiot. And then we have the fourth group here, which is Germany and France, have remained more ambiguous, vowing to stop Putin from winning rather than defeat him, while at the same time backing tough new sanctions. So, and it says the question being asked is whether we return to the Cold War or not. That's the difference between Biden, Johnson, and us. An ally to French President Emmanuel Macron told Reuters. And that's another thing that, for instance, Macron said, and everybody jumped on him, but he's right with this one, I think. He talked about not pushing, not humiliating Russia and give them a bad deal, because that would be like the First World War, if you remember how Germany was treated, and that was what partly triggered the animosity and hatred of the Germans towards the French and Britain, the Second World War, because they were raped too deep, and then the scars were there, and a lot of territories were taken from Germany, and they had to pay so much reparations that they destroyed it. So then you have the other guy said, well, I'm gonna make you proud again. And yeah, that's what it is with this I think four contingents. Four contingents. The Cold War is the Boris Johnson and the other ones. What can you do? I'm looking here for something else, but I just want to give you a nice another the same. Olaf Scholz and Macron tried to keep the communication open with Putin. So basically, our four the hardliners, then are the second ones, which is the British and then you got the French, right? And I'm losing my mind here. It's unbelievable. French and so you got Baltic states, obviously with Poland and Ukraine, and then you have the Americans, right, who want to just weaken them with Biden and Johnson. Then you have Germany and France, and then you have the first one, which is Hungary and Italy, the first one. So four different directions, and you can't really satisfy them all. So as I said, I'm waiting for pressure to be put on Ukraine, not so we can hear it. We're just gonna see how the Ukrainians on their own say, hey, we thought about talking to Putin seriously. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.